Number 8.
Welcome back to our March Moab Meetup of Moto Vloggers. And when we last left our heroes, they were out on the cliffs at Chicken Corners. And I left you with a big cliffhanger. Well, kind of a cliffhanger. I mean, I didn't finish my story about getting stuff stolen from me. And there's some points that I wanted to bring out. But before I do that, let me explain about this area. This was a pretty neat little spot. We stayed out here for quite some time, and we took some pictures, and we had some good conversations. Minute Stop interviewed everybody and asked us why it is we like to ride dirt bikes. So be sure and check out his channel when hopefully he'll be releasing that sometime soon. He said it was going to be really long because he got a lot of us, and we all kind of talked about why it is we ride. Speaking of riding, I was just wanting to get back to it. I was sick of this let's stopping around, and it was great to talk to the guys, but you know, we're here to ride, and I was just in this amazing place, and I wanted to just get out on the bike. So I'm tooling around here, I'm looking at the boulders, and look, these guys are still talking, and so I'm just like, well, I'm gonna follow this trail. I just want to keep going. I wasn't sure if we were gonna turn around at that point or what. So look out, big cliff on the right, but stay to the left, you'll be fine. And it was just a neat area. I just wanted to get out and ride. I wanted to move around, and I wanted to go fast, and I didn't know where this was going to go, but at this point I'm thinking, well, I don't really want to head out here because I don't know if we're trying to turn around. So I stop, and I wait, and me getting out and moving around, I guess, kind of got people on their bikes and moving around too. So back to my story of stolen stuff. When I got my stuff stolen out of my locker, it was that jacket of my previous vlog that you saw, my Levi jacket with fleece. Very cool at the time, kept you warm, and you were warm and styling. And my pads were stolen as well.
That's why I stopped. I wasn't sure. He said we're gonna go back.
But that was the first time in my life that I had something stolen from me, and it was a big deal. It was, you know, I came back from class and I opened my locker, and my stuff was gone, and it made me so angry. And I went out and I got my bike, and I just rode my bike as hard and as fast as I could. And I usually rode with my friend Kyle, and he didn't want to keep up with me. You know, I was just riding I just had all this pent up anger and frustration, and just made me so, I had to get it out. So I pedaled as hard and as fast as I could. And once I got to my elementary school, I kind of broke down, and I was pretty much out of wind by that point. You know, for the junior high to the high school the junior high to the elementary school was at about, you know, a mile and a half. So I just went flat out, hard, as fast as I could. I was passing up cars, you know, I was going so fast.
That sounds interesting, yes. Yama Joe's saying careful against the cliffs. He's not a big fan of heights.
And at that point, I kind of realized, what was the point? You know, why was I upset? And I got all that energy out, you know, and I started thinking about stuff, and I kind of let it go from that point.
Playing in the boulders. Checking out the boulders. Look at all this magma flow, whatever this does, it was caused by. There's a little green plant. Oh, they traded bikes. Nessa's on Katie. See what he thinks of Katie.
Stuff in this life is just stuff, you know? I mean, you're not going to take it with you when you die. We've learned that from the Egyptians. If you look at King Tut and all the stuff that he was buried with, he didn't take it with him, and neither are we. So it's important that we see how, you know, these things in our life, you know, what is it that makes you happy? Is it going to be that motorcycle? Is it going to be that phone? Is it going to be that whatever? Hopefully that's not where your source of happiness comes. And it was good for me to learn that lesson young. So, you know, junior high, middle school, I had those things stolen from me. It made me so angry, so upset, and I realized, why does that make you upset? Sure, it's a bummer, and sure you have to replace it. It might cost you some money or whatnot, but I chose to be angry. I chose to let that get to me, and I just I made myself so upset, and I realized that I was choosing that. I could choose to let it go, or I could choose to be angry. When I was in college, actually I wasn't in college yet. Where I went to school, they had an orientation, like, for 3 days or something during the summer for all the freshmen. And I went to it and I loved it. It was so fun. And so when I found out there was another one, I went back and did it again with my friends. And I took them with me. And two of them weren't even coming to college with me. But we had so much fun going to that orientation because there was dances and we met all these girls. And it was awesome. I did 2 orientations in the same month. And I'm so happy I did. So we went up again and we ended up staying with some guys. And during that era, during that trip, I had some CDs stolen from me and a bomber leather jacket.
Actually, I've already got this on film. You're just going from the other direction.
My wife says that I have a glove and jacket fetish. And maybe this is where it comes from. Because that bomber leather jacket of mine was awesome. I had it. It was, you know, it was like one of those World War II type bombers. You know, that brown leather. It was really soft, supple, just awesome. Oh, but whew, that's a really cool cliff ride I did right there to pass Ness. Woohoo! But that jacket, it was awesome. I was into Air Force type stuff at the time, and I had a bunch of patches that I'd sewn on them, and it was just really neat jacket. And so when it was stolen, and I had all these CDs, it was like 30 CDs, you know, and back then it was like $15 a pop, so that was a lot of money. Most of those CDs, a lot of them were my dad's too, so I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to replace these. But my friends were with me at the time, and they were stolen out of the van that we had taken up to that orientation. And my friends that were with me were really surprised at how well I handled that situation. You know, I didn't freak out. I was like, oh well, it's gone. And they were just amazed. And I kind of related that story to them about when I was in middle school or junior high and had that stuff stolen from me when I was a kid. So stuff's not gonna make you happy, and I learned that lesson too. Now, going to those orientations with all those get to know you games and all the dances and all the stuff, that was fun. That made you happy. You know, getting to know people, that makes you happy. At least makes me happy. I guess we need to define what is happiness, though. I mean, there's temporary happiness, things like driving in Moab and flying down the trails. You know, that gives you a nice adrenaline rush and makes you all happy for a little bit. But, you know, temporary happiness is fleeting. Stuff might bring you happiness, but it's fleeting. So where does your eternal happiness come from? That's what you need to find out in life. Whether it's through service of others, or your family, or having a relationship with God and Jesus Christ. I mean, that's a big part of my life. But, you know, having that eternal perspective of things and seeing that, you know, relationships with others and building those relationships and keeping them strong, that is a great way to stay happy. Today, actually, we had a service day where we went down to the park and we cleaned up the park for students and kids with disabilities. And I was able to go out there and pressure wash some stuff and carry some mulch and clean out a creek and do lots of manual labor. And doing that type of stuff for others, it makes you happy. A lot of the motor vloggers have gotten behind Benjamin Brawley and Faith, and you know, if you've watched any of those guys, and they're doing really cool stuff. The Faith video was awesome, and that type of stuff gives you eternal happiness, and it's a really good thing to latch onto. So that's kind of my message. Stuff doesn't make you happy. Find the stuff that does. Eternal happiness is better than temporary happiness. So, back to the riding. Who we have in front of us is Mendo, and he is flying on that KTM, and it's fun to follow somebody who goes fast. Yama Joe says that the second guy can always be faster than the first, and the reason that is because you have to make about half as many decisions as the person does in front of you. You make your decisions based upon what they're doing, you know? If they go this way and are struggling, you can go another way. You can pick a different line. And so this is a good spot. We're going to, as Ness and Yama Joe trade back bikes, Mendo and I got out in front pretty far, so we decided we better pause and wait.
Huh? Oh, you're fine, man. I like following you.